Good morning, gang. How's everyone doing?
Doing good. A little
Doing
early,
well.
but doing good.
All right.
Excellent. Yeah, so we got a big market gap higher. Dow is up 600 points, Nasdaq up 180, S&P up 69, even Russell 2000 up 2000 is up 4.4% in pre-market. Initially, I thought that the surge in gold and particularly in crude oil that we were seeing in the Sunday night futures open was going to put a bit under depressed sectors, but it seems like it has taken a life of its own with many sectors participating in pre-market. So, it's amazing. Crude oil is up from 25 to 32 in 3 days. 3 days, 25 to 32. It's a monster move, almost 30% move in crude oil in a very short amount of time. So this could put a bit under lots and lots of depressed sectors in the market, particularly in metals and mining um, and everything else. But let's see how the S&P reacts here. That's what I'm looking at. We had this technical setup. 29.22 is my level. If we start to breach through that 29.22 in the S&P futures, and if in the intraday chart, look at this massive rally that is shaping place in the last couple minutes after Moderna reported its phase 1 trial, then 3,000 could be on tap. We take 3,000 out, and then we'll see if we can still bust through higher. And here is Moderna for those interested. This is the powerful chart that has seen some many large call buying in the past and massive gap higher now at 83 after closing at 66 on Friday. And a name that has seen huge amount of call option activity, all positioned in the month of July, particularly in deep in the money call options. So we'll see. For my sake, I have two stocks that I'm watching for see how they perform. The first one is Tesla. Avo, you've seen some crazy amount of, you pointed out multiple times, some crazy amount of option activity in this one, haven't you?
Yeah, and it's been at the money, some in the money, and also a lot of $1,000 or the 1,000 strike out of money calls. So, it sounds crazy, and they're also near term. They're not that very far away. I think we spotted some in June 1,000 calls, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, the stock keeps going up, and these might pay off quite well.
With the exception of the one day on March 27th, which happens to be the bottom or near the bottom in the market, I mean, this is what the scanners, Jag scanners, have picked up for several weeks now. Just stealth accumulation. Look at these numbers, just monster. 98 million calls versus 39 million puts. 71% bullish bias. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because if we're going to start to break out, and this has been a hot momentum name, naturally this could start to participate today, and it's already guided higher at 827 after closing at 799. But what caught my attention doing some research around was actually this tweet from Elon Musk that came out May 14th, Thursday last week, and he talked about the supercharger usage by region. And he basically made the case that the China and APAC usage sessions or supercharger usage have basically returned back to their previous all-time highs, which is telling me that lots of Tesla cars are on the road, and that's what we see. And the second thing, this is the rest of it is emerging markets as well as North America. The red line is North America. We can see that also started to bottom out around April 20th. And now we have been seeing a stealth acceleration in that. So more people using superchargers on the highways, that simply means that driving is back. And this is real time. I think it can be tracked on certain websites as well. But I thought this tweet was interesting because Tesla could be in play for that too. And then there's another part to it, which is this article that came out from Bloomberg on May 10th, talking about the cars are staging a comeback, spurring oil's recovery. And I've read several notes in recent weeks in which the coronavirus has caused the people to evaluate how they want to travel. So they're avoiding mass transportation and more people are actually getting in the car to go to places. So there's a potential fine lining over here that seems to be helping the overall trends in the auto sector. So I thought this one was interesting. Now let's see if this chart actually starts to break out. 826 is right here. So when the market open, where it's trading in pre-market, we're going to potentially have a bull flag breakout right out of the gate. And if it starts to run, then who knows, that 900 or 1,000 level, given what this Jaguar scan has been showing us, could potentially be in play. So that's what I'm watching. See if there's money to be made in short-term calls trading this. Next one is um, Pepsi, something that is more conservative in nature. Now, Pepsi owns Frito-Lay, as you both know, as you all know. What you may not know is that Frito-Lay has now gone direct to consumer. And, this is the kind of stuff that doesn't make it to the mainstream, but take a look at this story that came out on Forbes magazine on May 11. Believe it or not, Frito-Lay did $2 billion in e-commerce, just selling chips online. Uh, I thought it was quite interesting that the snacking or hoarding of snacking has taken to the levels where we haven't seen the way before. And so Frito-Lay is building out, it's a very interesting platform online to go directly to consumer, and it has already breached $2 billion in total sales. So that plays bullishly for Pepsi, which had a huge power candle. Well, not exactly a power candle, but huge volume, partly driven by May expiration, most likely, and it's attacking that resistance. And if it starts to break out through that, and considering what I've been talking about, just a rotation essentially to healthcare and the staple sector in the short term, this could run 140 to 145 could be in the play. So we'll see if call buying picks up on this one. So that's it from me. What about Avo? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at marine sector. Horizon, Marine Max, H0 is the ticker in particular. But you know what? All this group
HZO?
is, yeah, H0.
Okay.
All these groups are doing good. If you look at Polaris, PII, you look at Malibu, MBUU, all these, they are doing great. I mean, they've all reported earnings now, all this group, and as well as the RV group, Camping World Holdings, Thor, and whatnot, these other companies. The demand is there. I'll just read what the CEO said on their conference call for MarineMax H0. Says, we saw very similar trends following the events of 9/11. However, that desire seems even stronger now. We believe this will be replicated in all parts of the country as warmer weather moves in. So now I think what's happened is that even at the beginning of the year, the sales from 2019, which was a record year from what I understand, continued upwards. There was a couple of boat shows in January and February that did very well. But then in March, when the initial shutdowns happened in the US, well, it all petered out, and the demand that was before stopped because nobody was, not that they didn't want to shop, nobody was allowed to go out and shop. So when they started reopening, and at this time, or at least at the time of the conference call from the earnings, the majority of their 59 locations were partially or fully operational, and their digital platform was, of course, open 24/7. These companies, not just MarineMax, they all saw a resurgence, a high demand, an increased demand in their products, and actually that June call action that you see there that was 1,000 calls that were bought on Friday
Last
for
Friday?
$1.62 to $1.88. Yeah, so I checked that. Additionally, Thor saw some call buying. Camping World Holding saw some call buying on Friday as well.
Excellent.
So this is what I'm looking at.
There's an argument to be made that, of all the recreational activities that have come to a complete stop, maybe this one, marine, uh, marine recreational activities out there, particularly on the water. I mean, I don't think they avoid any kind of, or they violate any kind of social distancing rules around the country. So there's an argument to be made that perhaps that sector is doing just fine. I know that the state of Michigan is huge in marine on all of this. Interesting play and good looking charts too. What was the other stock? HZO and the other one?
The other one, well, there's Brunswick 2 BC,
Yeah,
Polaris PII.
yeah.
There's another one, ONEW. This is a relative newcomer.
There's
Well, there's
MCFT as well.
which one?
MCFT,
MCFT,
Mastercraft.
yes.
Yeah, that's the one we've written about in the past. Nice looking candles on all of them. I mean, if these are all bull flag consolidations, and you know what? If the Russell 2000 index is going to break out today or attempt to rally, right now it's up 4.4%. That's the kind of sector that's going to put a bid underneath this. So if they
And
run,
I think what's happening also is, if you want to look at it from a human point of view, is that people are just getting sick and tired of sitting at home and being told to stay put. And just this is a recreation that people have been interested in for over a year in terms of accelerating interest. And
yeah, I can
this
give
is
you
just
a
going to
lot of
push them
those.
out.
A lot of examples are in my family as well. I live in
Absolutely.
Michigan, where we have some of the strictest lockdowns with 34% unemployment rate, and people are just getting tired of it. Jay, you go next. What do you have on your watch list?
All right. So today I have 2U, the education technology company. So ticker is TWOU.
Yeah.
So I wrote about this in Weekend Research back on March 29th, when it was $21, $22 a share. Currently trading 34. BMO is raising their price target today to 43. Back in March, when I wrote about it, when BMO upgraded it, it was really about how the company will do fine during this pandemic, but there were no near-term catalysts, no near-term financial benefits. Well, on May 8th, there was a press release where BMO and one of their long-standing partners, Simmons University, located in Boston, and this partnership has dealt with the graduate programs. Well, Simmons is basically reimagining their undergraduate program. And as a result, 2U is going to help redesign 350 of its 550 courses for any new students, returning students coming this fall. BMO argues that there is some sort of financial benefit. They didn't really give an exact number, but what it shows is that 2U can they can be flexible, they could be nimble. They're not just focusing on the graduate program, which is the bulk of their revenue. Instead, they can focus on the undergraduate program. And
Is
later
it?
this week, and one more thing, later this week, they will be at the Needham Technology Conference on Wednesday. And then on June 2nd, they will be at the Robert W. Baird Global Consumer Technology Conference.
Yeah, that's interesting. Simply because we discussed this recently as well when it was starting to break out from this consolidation. And I know that some of our clients got into call options. I wonder if they're still positioned in it. The only view here would be a little bit technically overbought with RSI,
Sure.
but interesting view. Especially there's still a big lingering questions about how the fall classes would look as the country starts to reopen.
Mhm.
And I still think that the tech education has been one of the hottest markets that are out there. CHGG, Czech has been a huge winner for us,
Mhm.
and several names we have seen run in this. Great, fantastic. We'll keep an eye on this one. You have another one, or should I go to
That is
Chronicle?
it for me.
Okay, Chronicle, you go next. What's up, buddy? What do you have on your watch list?
Several things on my mind, but I think the biggest one is a potential rotation on a macro level. I believe manufacturing and transportation are going to recover faster than services. I don't think it's going to happen yet, but I think it'll happen soon.
I
I
see.
think I think a lot of retail services companies are going to remain impaired, and it's going to be very difficult to claw back lost revenue. Like, for example, let's say there's like a favorite restaurant I like to go to once a month, but just because the economy is going to reopen, doesn't mean I'm going to go there 4 times this month to make up for it. Or just because, you know, I haven't cut my hair for 2 to 3 months doesn't mean I'm going to go cut my hair 4 times, and so on. On the other hand, I think we're already seeing news of factories and logistics getting restarted without excessive complications. And in contrast to services, I can see a ramp in certain sub-industries within manufacturing, due mostly to inventories getting worked off. So I think that's why manufacturing PMIs across major economies have fared much better than services PMIs.
Basically,
That's
the opposite of what we used to see in 2018 and
Mhm.
2019, right? Yeah. So this will probably put your UPS in play pretty soon, I would imagine, right? We got to go work on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've been thinking about producing a video for that for Jaguar Media. Maybe it's time to bring it up to light. Go ahead.
But that said, I think we still want to be really careful about which companies we want to be long. Like I'd be avoiding the automakers, for example. But yeah, I do think e-commerce, logistics, and B2B services are going to start outperforming other forms of transportation and industrials.
Yeah. So far, transportation, Dow Jones Transportation Index has lagged badly the rest of the market. And if that's the rotation that we're going to be seeing soon, then that's a sector that can wake up and can provide some really good, solid earnings, solid green shoots early on if we can catch it. So something to watch. What else do you have on your watch list?
That's about it for today.
Okay. Great, fantastic stuff. Chronicle, you and I need to work together on that UPS presentation sometime. Hopefully we can release it later this week. So, folks, that was it. Just a quick conversation among the Jaguars, and let us know what you think about this. See you guys in the chat room shortly.